All right, part two. Um, Black Couch, episode one. The Black Couch, episode one, part two. I split it up because I didn't want part one to be too long. I wanted to be digestible because it's people with all type of mental health issues tuning in, and everybody don't want to tune in to a longer than 10-minute video. Sometimes this can be a little bit too long. So just to recap, end up going to the hospital, end up getting put on oxygen, end up getting saline to rehydrate my body. They were saying I was pretty much dehydrated, and that I was informing me about what a panic attack was, and it wasn't still computing to me because everything was just so new. I hadn't done any research on it. I hadn't really had the experience from a sober perspective. So to me, it was just like I messed up from the fast. My body is, this it, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come back for this. I really didn't want to leave the hospital, but once they gave me the Ativan through the IV, I was cool. Days in between, I'm still off every night. I'm scared to go to sleep because I'm feeling like if I go to sleep, am I gonna wake up? Something gonna happen with my breathing in my sleep. My throat is still constantly swelling up. My temperature is just off. Everything is just out of whack at this point. So I end up thinking like maybe I have the virus. Maybe I got C-19. So I end up going to schedule because what they had me scheduled for was a little bit too long for me, and with everything going on, I think they had me October 1st, and I was trying to get in. This was the 19th that the first attack happened, and I was trying to get in and figure something else out that week because it was just like all of this is new to me. I can't figure this out. The panic attack wasn't computing that this could cause all this. So in my head, something else is wrong, and they just didn't figure out what else is wrong. And it's for some reason it's not coming up in none of the blood work, the test, or nothing like that. So what did I do? I ended up scheduling a physical with an urgent care. End up going to get the physical. They tell me the same thing, nothing wrong. But on top of the physical, I end up getting the test for C-19 just to see if I had that because I'm like maybe that's why my breathing off. I done had this before. I was kind of feeling real weird, like in the head space. Like I was getting like tingling up here. I was feeling real weird when I had that, but I ended up just drinking like mega dosing um, with vitamin C, and that ended up helping me get better in a few days. So I'm like, all right, let me go get some vitamin C. Let me go get some elderberry. I ended up going to get everything acting as if I'm about to knock this out my system. The same day when I went to the urgent care and got the test. A few days later, I get the test back, don't have it. So at least it's not that I wanted it, but I was like, but at least that would explain what was going on because everything was still so confusing. So that day, I also bought an inhaler to kind of help me with the breathing. In case of a serious situation where I wouldn't have to go back to the hospital. Fast forward to the 24th, I believe that was a Thursday. Um, I'm just relaxing. I think I was playing 2K or something was happening. I was just chilling. And I ended up having a similar situation where the breathing was getting off. So I ended up using the inhaler. After I use the inhaler, I look on the directions, say, don't take because it could cause rapid heartbeat. Now, rapid heartbeat what got me in the hospital in the first place. So next thing I know, my heartbeat is just shooting through the roof. It's up in the 130s. I told you mine is usually between 50, 60, and 70. So whenever it get that high, I get real dizzy and start feeling faint. So I'm in and out the shower, in and out the shower, in and out the shower. Just trying to keep myself calm, turning the air on. If I sat down, my heart rate would speed back up. I could stand up and sit on the chair by the air conditioner and it would go down. But this is going on for hours now. This was like it might have started around 12:30, kept going to about 3. At about 3, I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital. Like I'm dying again. Like it was that same type feeling. I was feeling like this was it. Get back to the hospital. I think it's like a person in front of me. I'm in that same position. Like, man, get me to the back. Like, I'm really about to pass out now. I got a washcloth. I got my heart rate sensor with the oxygen. My oxygen was dropping. It was just like, oh my goodness. Then as soon as I get to the back and they check my oxygen and everything, all my levels is good. My heart rate, it was a bit high in the 90s, but that's not abnormal for them. For me, it's abnormal because my heart rate. I know my heart rate typically is low, just for me monitoring. But for them, that's not like, you feel what I'm saying, or whatever. So I'm going back there thinking like maybe I done dehydrated myself from drinking the magnesium hydrate, high citrate, and working out on that bike. I done sweated too much. I done put my body in that same position. I'm like, maybe I'm just dehydrated again. So I'm trying to get the IV and the same treatment as last time. I'm like, forget it. Maybe I'm withdrawing from the Ativan. My body wants some more because it was so sensitive because nothing was in it. I'm like, maybe that's just all that. I'm like, at this point, I was typically against taking the meds, but I'm like, man, just give me whatever, and they wouldn't give me the IV with nothing. So I'm like, oh man, oh man. So pretty much they bring a doctor in there. They ask me some questions, and I'm telling them like, man, my feet been numb, my hands been numb, blood all on one area, tingling at the top of my head. Maybe y'all need to do a brain scan. My throat, the temperature up, and I was just telling them everything, and they pretty much like these are all just symptoms of a panic attack and anxiety. And she pretty much asked questions and said, she believes I had general anxiety disorder, and that was just to explain everything. And I'm just like, you sure? Because I got this, and this, and then she like, yeah, that's just what can happen when you got this going on. So at that point, it just kind of set in. Like I'm just thinking, like, man, am I still gonna be able to drive trucks? Like I can't be having no panic attack on the road. It just was heavy for me at that point, but they end up giving me Ativan 1 milligram while I was there, and they also prescribed Klonopin. End up going home, calm down once they gave me the Ativan. Don't think I got the Klonopin until the next day. I think I ended up taking it that night. I mean, yeah, I ended up taking it the next night, and I didn't like it because it was kind of like forcing me to sleep, and that was giving me more anxiety because is I didn't like going to sleep because I didn't, like I said, my throat, I'm still getting all of these symptoms. So it's like, am I gonna wake up? So that was kind of my worry about that. And by that, the Ativan calmed me down and put me in a functional state. Um, Brought me to somewhat back normal, but it wasn't forcing me to sleep. It relaxed me to the point where I could go to sleep, but it wasn't forcing me to sleep. So that worked out for me. I end up getting in contact with another doctor. They was telling me like, man, that just be careful with the benzos. Don't take the Klonopin if you don't have to. Come see me Monday, and we'll try to put together a game plan. So because I didn't have any more Ativan, even though that was working, they prescribed me Klonopin, which did make sense to me. It's like, if you know the Ativan was what's calming me down when I got to this state both times, why not just give me more of that? But they ended up giving me Klonopin, mind you, in which I found out I couldn't drive with anyway because it's a seizure medication. So if I would have went and took a physical or something with that, I wouldn't have been able to drive while taking that. So because its primary function was for seizures. So even though I didn't like it anyway, so it all just ended up working out. Um, so what I do Monday, I end up going into the doctor. Took them in that those days in between. I think I just took one day. I took a half of the Klonopin, and another day I took a half of a half, just because I didn't really like it. But I needed something just to keep me calm until that Monday. Go in, explain everything going on. They come to, man, it's just too many stimulants with the NMN, with the Garcia Cambogia, with the hydroxy cut. Small day to day stress, but nothing major. On top of the stress of the body when being in a fasted state, that was just too much, and it induced me going into the panic. So that was what the doctor felt like would cause my situation, and he was pretty much just like, get off the fast, just try to continue to stay active like you've been doing. Maybe get you a Fitbit watch, 10,000 steps a day, watch the diet, and cut the supplements. And he gave me a 10-day script for Ativan, and I had a psychiatrist appointment on that Thursday. So I ended up going to the I end up taking the Ativan in between town the psychiatrist appointment. End up going to the psychiatrist. I mean, doing the psychiatrist via like the telecommunication, kind of like this. And we'll bring that back for part three. Come back for part three. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Sorry about how last time ended. I just don't want to make these too long. I understand everybody don't want to watch more than 10 minutes. So I'll try to keep 10 minutes at my limit for now, unless people say it's, it's okay if I do go further. But right now, just trying to express and get out my experience and see if other people had similar experiences to it, or they can relate to it, or maybe help somebody in the future just know that somebody went through it too. Part two, episode one of the Black Couch. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Leave your comments if you had something similar go on. And in part three, we're going to talk about the Lexapro and what came after that and what came with that. I'm still in it. I'm just trying to get everybody up to where I'm at right now, because it took me a minute to get to this point to even be able to record these. So appreciate you. Spread peace, positivity, and love. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out.